I could have taken revenge. Because the truth was worse than the lies. But power don't lie in anger. It lies in knowing you could have done it and not doing it.
To the Avenue, forward all loyal viewers and subscribers, thank you very much for your continued support. Give thanks for life. Today on the Avenue, we will be looking at Senator Damion Crawford's presentation. And in his presentation, he stated that class has just begun, my people. So let us get into the class and see what we can analyze from his teachings. And in the meantime, my people, leave your thoughts and views in the comment section below and let us have that discussion. And if you are new here, well forward to the Avenue. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Let's get into it.
Mr. President, or the mics. You want everybody to hear me? All right, thank you. Mr. President, I am so happy to see our children here from Dalton James and also from our university, the Karamak students that are present. I'm happy because the class is about to begin. Mr. President, teacher. I title this conversation Truth and Democracy. Because, Mr. President, the government's debate has been shrouded in lies and fake news. What I'd like for the takeaway today, the takeaway project, I hope my teacher will oblige, is that after this presentation, when they go back to school next week, they should write an essay on the types of lies that were stated in the presentations. There are indeed different types of lies. There's a stretch of the truth to make something sound bigger or better. That is called an exaggeration. There's omission, leaving out information, important information, so as to mislead. There's also refusing to admit the truth, even when confronted with evidence. That's called denial. There's fabrication, making up completely false information. Misleading statements, which is statements with the intent to deceive. Blame shifting, lying to avoid responsibility by blaming others. And gaslighting, manipulating someone to doubt their memory or perception. I hope that as of Monday, you can use any of these analyses to tell what types of lies are being told to you or have been told in this entire budgetary process. Mr. President, it is upon us that we are called not just to know the truth, but to stand for it. As children of light, we must mash down lies wherever they rise. For what fellowship hath light with darkness? Indeed, they said love and hate can never be friends. Mr. President, the JLP's entire communication is dependent on one statement that the Prime Minister made, and I quote, he said, "There are several generations of young people who do not know our modern history. There are generations of middle-aged and older people who have forgotten." The JLP is dependent on the youth who might not have known and the older individuals who might have forgotten. Indeed, Mr. President, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And the JLP has the heart to mislead, the heart to deceive, the heart to misinform, the heart to misrepresent, the heart to hoodwink, and the heart to hold to power at any cost. I'm sad that a friend of mine is leaving because that heart has been exhibiting itself on their platforms. Persons who are friends of mine. My mother asks me sometimes, how do you choose your friends? Have been calling my name in the most way on radio and on the platform. I said, Delano Sieveright, Senator Sieveright, a friend as well. And by the way, Senator Sieveright is the one who started the rumor about shelling down London with Jamaica money. Can you believe that? I was in London presenting an academic paper. They wouldn't understand that because they're not academics. Paid for by the conference. And a friend of mine started a rumor that I was there shelling down England. But I forgave him.
Of course, because you're a forgiving.
Because when his trouble came across my decks in his early times, I could have taken revenge. Because the truth was worse than the lies. But power don't lie in anger. It lies in knowing you could have done it and not doing it. Their mouths, Mr. Speaker, have revealed what their masks have tried to hide. No matter how well you pretend, your words will tell the truth about you. The first set of lies that would have been established would have been along the lines of inflation. And in this case, there is students, I want you to look, there's a line there called total inflation, which is the addition of all the years of inflation. It was put there to indicate that there was a period of PMP governance that had such a large level of inflation that it was 2,249. They failed to acknowledge this was the longest term that any government has ever served. And so therefore, over 18 years, they sought to compare with 4 years. And therefore, the accumulated level of total inflation was an unnecessary segment in this table. The average annual inflation speaks, where it speaks to 18.
Sorry. All right. Just hold a second. Hold a second for me, please. Senator Brown, have a seat. Have a seat. All right. I know where it's going. So the standing order says that whilst a person is presenting and speaking, that he should be heard in silence. All right. So, Senator Morgan, we appreciate the little bantering that goes across at times, but we have, yes. All right. All right. So continue, Senator
Mr. President. Yeah. I don't mind, but I appreciate Senator Brown because you're setting a good example for my little children who are here today. So, we're going to set that example. The Prime Minister made heavy weather of this 2000, not indicating the period of time, and sought to also compare Jamaica's reality with the United States reality. Before I indicate the reasons why this is not an adequate comparison, even the numbers that they have presented suggest that there are multiple times that the JLP was worse than the PMP. Now look at February 1989 to September 2007. This is the exact presentation from Mr. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Dr. Andrew Holness. If you look at the 89 to 2007, 18 and a half years that the PMP was in power, the average annual inflation was 18.5%. In the United States, for which he was seeking to make heavy weather, it was 2.9%. That's almost 6.3 times what existed in the United States. But he failed to have done sufficient analysis to recognize that in September 2007 to December 2011, which was the JLP, they were at 12.3% in relative to the United States, 1.5%. That's 8.2 times what was in the United States. So therefore, if it is that relativity was supposed to be used, the JLP in 2007 to 2011 was 8.2 times inflation in the United States. However, the PMP was 6 times inflation in the United States. However, for the knowledge of our students, I would like them to know that even that was a false analysis. There was no real basis to utilize the United States in comparison with Jamaica. An appropriate comparison would have been other Caribbean islands, because the United States don't have the same realities that we face. But there's even more information in the slides that the Prime Minister presented. In the slides that the Prime Minister presented, it proved that he had the worst performance since he got the baton. Indeed, in 2002, 2007, the inflation was 18.5% on average. The Bruce Golding government received the baton and reduced it by 6.2 percentage points and carried it down to 12.3%. The Portia Simpson Miller government got it and reduced it by 6 percentage points and carried it down to 6.3%. Andrew Holness got it and carried it down to 5.5, a reduction of less than 1 percentage point. So he's making a big deal about, look how fast, when it's just that he got a good baton. Prime Minister Bruce Golding reduced it by 6 percentage points. Prime Minister Portia Simpson reduced it by a further 6 percentage points. Yet they tried to convince us that the best Prime Minister we have ever seen reduced it by less than 1 percentage points. I had to ensure that a picture like this exists, but Holness has done the least. That's a KC man winning that race so beautifully, as we will later today. And Calabar is already at 4th or 5th or something like that. I'm afraid they're way around the corner. But I think they're coming behind even Edith Dalton today. Edith Dalton will beat them. So with the baton, he has done the least. He has also sought to prove misleading historical comparison. Prime Minister attempted to vilify the PMP by highlighting average inflation from 1989 to 2007. He, however, fails to highlight the global economic context, including oil price shocks, trade liberalization mandates, structural adjustment from the IMF. And they also fail to acknowledge that food inflation, which is the level of inflation affecting the majority of people, is at 7.4%. This highlights a persistent and significant burden on household budgets, especially for low and middle income Jamaicans, even while headline inflation remained within the BOJ target. Indeed, in our Parliament, in this Senate, I have made 3 presentations asking for a targeting of food inflation as well as a targeting of overall inflation. Because there are times that the overall inflation disguises the suffering of the average individual who don't spend on the entire basket that exists. They have never indicated that. So the food inflation is outside the target levels of inflation. Therefore, a large proportion of our society whose income is directed mainly to consumption of food is not being addressed by what is being posited by the inflation rate. The next level of lies that we're told would have been debt to GDP. This graph that I'm showing here is the exact same graph that was presented by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. I'll give him the doctor until I hear further information. But Prime Minister Doctor, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Now let us look at the realities. Mr. President, they seek to sell this argument that the JLP are the great debt managers and the PMP is loose with the management of debt. They seek to sell that argument. Well, we have not bought that argument. Let's go to the other slide. Let's look at the debt to GDP. Every time you come and say you need to check, you don't check. Check and come back, man. In 1962, the PMP handed the baton to the JLP. It's important for students to know that self-governance and independence are 2 different things. That before independence, we were governing ourselves and both the PMP and the JLP existed. The PMP handed over the baton in 1962 at 20% debt to GDP. 20%. At the end of the JLP's first term, Bustamante term, and I think you shared that term. Sangster got a piece of it. So now give it because it's not so good. It moved to double 40%. So therefore, these great debt managers' debt in that period moved from where they got it at 20% to 40%. 100%. We then, if you wake up and think you know more economics than me, go back to sleep. And then, inflation moved, debt to GDP ratio, moved to 80%. So Michael Manley got the button in 1972 at 40%. And it moved up as well to 80%. However, Eddie Seaga got the button in 1980.
The financial whiz?
The financial whiz.
I wonder where it went.
It moved to 212%. That green line in the middle, the highest it has ever been, was under the Jamaican Labour Party, under the quote-unquote financial whiz. And forgot that he had a duty. And when the PMP got it, now what I have done here is to be truthful and fair. I have not, no, listen. No, I will give him a class later. Because I like when my friends are at the same level. It's not possibly too late. But what happened here is that I have given with fairness. Because the election was before the 6th month, I have given 1990 to the People's National Party. 1989 to the People's National Party. But when the PMP actually got government, it was 260%. But we're going to work with 212. Because it's bad enough, we don't forget nothing more. And now to exaggerate. When the PMP got it, Mr. President, this government of the 18 years that they claim was poor in management and was debt-free, well, I mean actually ballooned the debt. The truth is it dropped from 212 to 113%. How then have they been able to sell this lie that they are the fiscal party?
Honorable people, that is all for now, What is your thoughts and views on all of that? Leave it in the comment section below and let us continue the discussion. And if you are new here, well forward to the Avenue. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Avenue. Thank you very much. Catch you in the next one.